Hello, it's Ben Dobson on Stocks Reservoir. I just thought I'd take this opportunity to catch up with Nick Halstead. As most of you know, he's a well-known competition fly fisherman, fishes for Stocks G-Tech, and also a well-known fly fishing journalist. It's his first visit up here to Stocks, so I thought we'd take this chance to glean a bit of information and a few tips and tactics off him.
No problem.
Hiya, Nick.
Yeah, very good. Had a good day today. We fished all the way from Hollinsby in the corner there. We caught one first cast, didn't we, between us? Cast the flies in the water and it tightened up. It didn't have more than 10 yards of line out. It was fantastic. First chuck. Always a good start to a new season.
What did you catch on?
That was on this fly here, which is, I think it's called, I don't know if you can see that one on there. That's a Dawson's Olive Nomad, or a variation on it.
And were you just fishing that by itself?
It was a very scientific selection actually. It was the first one I saw in my box this morning.
It was a good choice.
So we went for that. Yeah.
There's been one or two good catches been taken on Dawson's Olive type.
Yeah. Well, we did take the advice of the staff in the lodge. I had a quick chat with Ben and Peter, and they recommended a floating line or a midge-tip line, fish really slowly. And said the fish, they'll take lures or buzzers at the moment. There's quite a lot of buzzers hatching as we went into Hollinsby up there. So I put a dial back on the top dropper, a buzzer about 4 feet away, and on the point I put this thing just to anchor the cast down. Dropped it out there, and it was really, really slow figure of 8 retrieve, and we had quite a lot of action. Caught a fish straight away up there, worked his way up the bank onto Hartley's, which is where the stones are right now, way down there to the point. And we stopped in 3 places there and caught a fish every time we cast it out, so it was really good.
Very good.
And they took a combination of buzzers and the point fly as well, so it was good.
Bit of mild weather in February and March. You did
It's
get quite a lot of
unbelievable.
buzzers coming up,
This is, for me, I enjoy fishing for trout in the winter. It's a pity more reservoirs don't open earlier.
No, it's not.
Well, maybe not from Ben's point of view, but I'm always surprised that it takes some of the more major reservoirs quite a long time to open, particularly with the quality of fishing that we get. Bear in mind, we're 1,000 foot above sea level up here. It's not the warmest of days, it's not too bad, and we're having excellent sport. I think we finished the day with my fish tally here today. Tell me how many fish have we caught? 8 in total, and we've missed quite a few and had a lot of pulls, a lot of action. And I think we've been going about 3 hours, something like that. So very good fishing.
Right.
Really enjoyed it.
Just a quick one. First of all, I want to know what's your 2 weapons of choice you've got there.
Right, well the 2 rods I've been using today, they're both from Grays, Hardy Grays. One of them's called a Platinum XD, which is quite a stiff, powerful, very tip action rod, and that's because at some point during the day I knew I'd be casting into the wind. So that's a very good rod for creating very tight loops and throwing it into the wind. And the other rod I've got with me, which is called a Grays G-Tech, which is more of an all-rounder really. It's not quite as fast actioned as the Platinum XD, and I find that a little bit more friendly when I'm using nymphs and things. The takes tend to be a little bit more positive, and I get better hookups with this particular rod. But again, it's horses for courses, and
Very light.
very light, very easy to use. 3-piece, excellent bits of kit, to be quite honest with you, really are. And I don't think the sort of bank-breaking prices are these things anymore.
The new Platinum XD competition, it's got a composite handle instead of a cork, but they've just come down to about 199 quid, I think, which I don't think there's a rod on the market.
Very good for that money.
Right, what's your tippet of choice?
Today we've been using, it's the Rio Floraflex.
And that's generally what you use,
That's
is it?
fluorocarbon. That's one of my favourites. Very good knot strength. Very reliable. I find that really good material. The diameter's, it's not the finest diameter one, but again, it's not the coarsest diameter one either. It's sort of middle of the road, and I find it very reliable.
I think
I go with that one.
Trout fishermen gave that one of the fastest sink rates as well, didn't
Do they? Yeah, it's very good quality material. Can't fault it.
Getting away from the tackle and onto tactics, Nick, have you got any patterns in particular that you wouldn't like to not have in your box when visiting Stocks over the season?
Right, it's quite a good question. I think as fly anglers we do carry way too many patterns. I've got a box there in the bag behind you there, and there's probably 500 or 600 flies in there. A lot of them are varied patterns as well, so I do carry way too many, as most fly anglers do, but what the heck, eh? We've got to have an hobby, haven't we? But moving on to what I will be using throughout the season. I mean, today this has been good for me today. The Dawson's Olive Nomad, yeah, we'll call that there, with the bit of floss at the back of the eye there. That's fished really well today with a couple of nymphs on the droppers. And then, so good choice, very good choice from the bank or from the boat early season. It's not too bright and scary, like sort of orange blob type things sometimes have a counter effect on fish, and they can make the fish disappear into the distance rather than be attracted to them on certain occasions. This thing's got all the sort of main features of a lure. Still got a bit of orange in there as well for the fish attracting qualities, but it's not so scary. So then they've been very confident with that today. They've really eaten that one today. Putting that one back on, then I'd move on to probably a surprising choice, which is a Bibio Dabbler. And you can see there, it's just, all it is black and red seal spur, a red holographic rib through it, and it's got a bronze mallard wing and a very, very soft hen hackle palmed through the fly as well there. It's not a flashy fly at all, quite drab. Most of the patterns I fish with tend to be like this, quite drab. I don't really like big gaudy patterns. So that's the wet fly out of the way. Moving on to a nymph. You cannot go wrong up here, certainly early season. I would say any time from now right the way through. We've been catching on buzzers today, and we'll probably continue to catch on buzzers right the way through the season, but the peak of it tends to be around about middle of April, end of April, right the way to probably to the middle of July, something like that. And that's as good a choice as any. I would call that, that's what's called a crisp packet buzzer. The reason for that being, it's used, the cheeks on it are made out of a crisp packet. I think it's Doritos. I can't remember what flavour it is, but what the heck. But that's a crisp packet buzzer.
Might be just plain, that one, I think.
Is it plain, that one? Ready salted Doritos. Bit of free advertising there as well. Right, and then on to my favourite type of fishing on stocks, which has got to be dry fly fishing. It's famous for it up here. It gets better and better every year. Last year I've never had a season like I had on dries. Absolutely incredible. The fishing was fantastic. You don't have to see rising fish. You just put your dries out there, drift across the middle, and they'll come up and see you. Don't worry about that. And this is probably my favourite fly from last year. If you'd asked me this question this time last year, I would have said I would be putting a daddy longlegs on there. I changed my mind last year, because with the daddies I was getting lots of takes, and they were getting hold of the fly but not hooking up properly. They weren't this one. This is a Bibio hedgehog. Again, it's that black and red combination. You can see that in there. There's some black seal spur mixed with red, and then the wing is deer hair. Very, very simple fly to tie. They float like corks, and very, very reliable.
Yeah. Right, well there's 3 flies that you can add to your box if you're coming up and visiting us. Finally, have you got a couple of tips? Maybe one for the bank, one for the boat, or something like that?
Quite easy. The best tip I can give anybody visiting stocks or any fishery is ask the fishery staff about the tactics to use, the areas and the tactics. Quite a big reservoir we've got here. It's 350 acres. If you get yourself into the wrong spot where the fish aren't, you're not going to have the most scintillating of days. If you listen to these guys and the fishery staff, they'll put you in the right place. They want you to catch the fish. There's no doubt about it. That's what they're here for, and they enjoy it. When you come in with a bag load of fish, these guys love it. So ask their advice. They'll tell you what flies, which areas. All the names, all the areas around the reservoir have names, and they're all listed on the website. If you're not sure which particular area it is, it's quite easy just to look at the map on the website, and that'll tell you where to sort of point your boat if you like. And I'm sure these guys will put you in the right direction. A real key tip for where you fishing on stocks is make sure you get the depth that you're fishing at correct. And the questions I will be asking will be, one, where are the fish? And the next question I will be asking is how deep. I wouldn't be worrying too much about flies, particularly they don't tend to get on anything really specific up here. We have certain hatches that are really hot. These guys will tell you about it when the ants come off, hawthorns, things like that.
Certainly when you're spooning them, a lot of the time when you spoon the fish, there seems to be a variety of food stuff in them, doesn't there? Rather than one, not like on the lowland reservoirs where you might spit off tons of daphne or something like that. It doesn't seem to happen.
So two tips is, one, ask the guys, and the tips are, where are the fish and how deep are the fish? They'll help you choose the lines. They'll tell you where the fish are. It's up to you guys to go out and catch them.
And don't blame us if we get it wrong. We'll try not to. Thanks very much, Nick. That was brilliant.
Welcome, mate. You're
Cheers.
welcome.
See you soon.